Hi, hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here. I will share my screen if it's okay. And
Yep.
we are going to talk about empowering the future of Web3 with Beam. Okay, I see it's working. Um, so what are we going to do today and talk about for the next about 15 minutes is try to answer three questions. First of all, what is Web3? Why do we want Web3 in our future at all, whether it's good for us, and what Beam project is doing and building in regards for Web3 and what is our vision. So let's get started. So Web3 sounds like something that comes after Web2, right? And we need to first answer the question, is there anything wrong with Web2? I mean, Web2 was still with us and was for the last about 20 something years. I think a lot of people in the audience, didn't even know or remember what it was like before Web2. So, they should be thankful for that because Web2 brought us the internet as we know it today, rich interactive clients in the browser or on your mobile devices, user-generated content, sites like YouTube, right, or any like blogging platforms, social networks, of course, Facebook, Twitter, and many, many more applications and platforms and services that we are accustomed to and we use every day. And obviously, these are just few examples. And on the platform and infrastructure side, we have cloud computing that's powering all of these services. And we have the software as a service concept, which means that you don't need to download things. You just can use them directly from the cloud. And of course, content delivery networks that provide us with streaming services. And this is how we are talking right now. So all of these things are amazing. So what is wrong? And the answer is that it's not so much with this left side of the slide. It's not about the clients. It's more kind of about this right side, right? What's happening in the background. And the reason we are interested in this part is because all of your data is actually there, right? The platforms and all of the services that run on them, they are storing this data, they're processing it, they're doing all of these important parts of what we call internet today. And it's working great. It's actually pretty amazing. And it's so amazing that we have become to rely on these platforms and we have come to rely on these services that we use every day. And we want to continue to do so. However, even though it's so successful, there are some, I would say, questions that kind of we want to answer, like who owns this data, who is in control of this data, how much privacy it provides us, how much security is. And essentially, it all boils down to the question of trust, right? So we all are familiar with Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, blockchain technologies, and it's one of the core questions that started the Bitcoin movement. Don't trust, verify. We don't necessarily need to trust governments for, handling the monetary transactions. We don't necessarily need to trust all of the centralized institutions around it. And with the development of blockchain technologies and additions like smart contracts and Ethereum and distributed computing, the questions of trust also became applicable to other areas of our lives, right? Basically, how much in control are we of these other aspects, including what we have now in the Web2 environments. So answering the question, what is Web3? It is a movement and it's not a single kind of notion. It's actually an umbrella term, just like Web2 is an umbrella term for a lot of different technologies. So Web3 is an umbrella term that is talking about reducing or completely eliminating trust in platforms and service providers, giving us people, the users, much more control and self-sovereignty over our data and what we do with it, reducing centralization and increasing security and privacy. And all of these, as you can see, they are like kind of in progressive sense, like it's something that's happening. It's not a finished product or, a group of products. It's rather a direction that we are going to go with, and we want to go with in order to gain all of these kind of improvements in our work with how we understand and how we use the internet every day. And this also answers the question, why do we want Web3 in our lives? Because of these very reasons, right? Because that's what we eventually would like to have. And just like in cryptocurrencies, we saw that there is an alternative. There are interesting technological abilities that we can use in order to improve this decentralization and trustlessness of how we handle our money and finances. The same is also applicable to the internet technologies. Now, the foundations of Web3 and kind of the building blocks of Web3, so to speak, include, first and foremost, blockchain technology. Blockchain technology has shown us how to handle calculation and data and financial transactions in a more decentralized way. Cryptocurrency, both as a product using these technologies, but also as an enabling factor that allows us to build new financial models, right? Tokenomics of various kinds using tokens and coins in different scenarios. So it's not just a kind of cryptocurrency in and of itself, but also how we use it. The notion of decentralized identity is very important because the way we identify ourselves in various platforms and various services and how much control we have around this identity. The smart contracts, which is a concept of decentralized calculation and execution of business logic of various applications that provide us with more transparency. We see how they operate. They have to agree on the results, right? This whole kind of code as law or code as a contract thing. This entire concept is also very important. Distributed data storage, starting from services like IPFS, interplanetary file system, or projects that are trying to build on top of it or instead of it, such as Arweave, etc. Decentralized applications in general, which are very important because today, even in our more kind of interesting decentralized financial applications, very often the way you access those applications is still very centralized. You still to go to the website. The website is hosted on a specific service provider. It can be, you can obviously control it, shut it down in some cases. You can decide who is using which services or not. So we want to get rid of that. We want more decentralization and freedom in this regard. And of course, strong privacy and confidentiality, which means that you as a person, as a user, it's your data and you should be able to decide how it is used, who can see it, which parts of it. And this is like one of the important aspects of that as well. And so incidentally, this is exactly what Beam project is building. Beam project is layer one blockchain, which means that it uses the blockchain technology and proof of work consensus. And it has a native coin, which is also called Beam, but it also supports creating confidential assets, which means that anyone can create new types of assets on the Beam platform. And it means that you can create your own tokens, which will be as confidential as Beam itself, and then use them for your applications and your services that you want or need. We have this distributed identity kind of sample, which is called Beam Anonymous Name Service, which is similar to what is called ENS on Ethereum. You can buy your own decentralized domain, so to speak, which is hosted on a blockchain, and then use it as your identity. We have privacy-preserving smart contracts that allow you to not just implement the logic for your application, but also hide or at least provide the option for the user to disclose or not disclose whether they are using those contracts or not, which is very important. IPFS integration, as I mentioned, because you need to store your data in the most decentralized way possible. We have truly decentralized applications, which means that our front ends are run within the wallet that you install on your local machine or web wallet, and that do not rely on centralized service providers to operate. And of course, all of the transactions are completely confidential by default, which is one of the essential properties that, in my opinion, enable this kind of privacy component and make it really usable for anyone who is operating on that platform. And what I wanted to say to you today is that, if you're here in this audience, it means that you are building and learning and trying to understand this new kind of future that we're talking about, and that you are very early. Everything that I have mentioned is just the very, very beginning of the long way to transform the technology as we know it in many ways and gain a lot of additional benefits for all of us as people, as users, as consumers, and give us this better balance between self-sovereignty and privacy than what we have today in this current Web2 situation. So that was my speech. Thank you very, very much for inviting me. Thanks a lot for Beam Africa community for organizing this event. Special thanks to Beambots, which is the sticker that you saw is from that project. Many thanks for Beam community in general for supporting the project, and the Beam team for building large parts of these teams. Thanks.